Most people go through life blind to the lies, trapped in comfort, and silent while injustice thrives. But what if I told you that everything you think you know is holding you back? Today, I'm going to show you why ignorance is your enemy, comfort is a trap, and silence is actually helping the people who control your life. Stick with me until the end, because what you hear next could change the way you see the world. And finally, give you the power to fight back. The first thing you need to understand is that ignorance is not bliss. It's weaponized. Most people think that if they don't know what's happening, they're safe. They scroll through their phones, watch their favorite shows, laugh at memes, and convince themselves that life is fine because they're happy. But let me tell you something. They've been trained to believe that. They've been conditioned to ignore reality because reality is messy, uncomfortable, and often inconvenient. Ignorance is the softest form of control, and the people who control society know it. They know that a population that doesn't question anything, that accepts everything at face value, can be manipulated, exploited, and used to fuel systems that serve only a few at the top. Think about it. How many times have you heard something on the news, read it online, or listen to an authority figure and didn't stop to ask why? You took it as truth because it was easier than thinking for yourself. That is exactly what they want. Knowledge is power, but they want you powerless. They want you distracted, entertained, and complacent. Schools, social media, even the education you pay for, they all teach you skills, formulas, facts, but rarely do they teach you how to see the system for what it is. They rarely teach you to question, to think critically, to analyze the motives behind what you're being told. And that is why ignorance isn't just harmless. It's dangerous. Let's get real. Ignorance is the weapon of the weak because it keeps them in chains without them realizing it. If you don't know the rules, you can't play the game. And if you can't play the game, you'll always lose. Most people live their lives reacting to what others do instead of acting strategically. They let others set the rules and then complain about the results. They accept injustice because they didn't even see it coming. But here's the hard truth. No one owes you an explanation. No one owes you fairness. And no one will protect you from the consequences of your own ignorance. Knowledge isn't optional. It's survival. You have to train your mind like a weapon. You have to learn to spot manipulation, propaganda, and lies. Every piece of information you take in should be tested, questioned, and challenged. Don't trust things just because they come from someone in a suit, a screen, or a title. Authority does not equal truth. The system wants you to believe it does, because if you do, you will hand over your freedom without even realizing it. Ask yourself constantly, why am I being told this? Who benefits if I believe it? Oh, what am I missing? If you can make those questions automatic in your mind, you are no longer ignorant. You are awake. And let me be clear, being awake doesn't mean being angry all the time, though it will sometimes. It doesn't mean paranoia, though you will notice patterns others miss. It means clarity. Seeing the world as it is, not as someone else wants you to see it. Understanding the rules, the traps, and the strategies that govern life. Ignorance makes you a pawn, a spectator, a victim. Knowledge makes you a player, a strategist, a force that cannot be ignored. That is why the first step in fighting any injustice is education. Self-education, critical thinking, awareness. It is your armor, your weapon, your shield. Most people won't take this seriously. They'll laugh, roll their eyes, or pretend it's too complicated. They'll say, I just live my life. I can't think about everything. But life doesn't wait. Life doesn't slow down because you're comfortable. Every second you ignore reality, every day you fail to educate yourself. The world moves on without you. And when injustice comes knocking, as it always does, you'll be unprepared. You'll wonder why things aren't fair, why you're struggling, why everyone else seems ahead while you're stuck. And the answer is simple: ignorance. You didn't see it. You didn't prepare. You didn't fight. So here's the truth you need to hold on to. Ignorance is the easiest way for the powerful to stay powerful. It is the foundation of every system that benefits a few while holding the many back. And the only way to break free is to arm yourself with knowledge, to train your mind, and to see the world clearly. Stop believing what you're told blindly. Stop scrolling past uncomfortable truths. Stop being passive. Every moment you educate yourself, you take power back. Every time you question, analyze, and challenge, you weaken the control they have over you. Knowledge isn't just power. It is freedom. It is defense. It is survival. If you want to win in life, if you want to survive the injustices that are thrown at you every single day, start here. Start by seeing the world clearly. See the rules. See the traps. See the manipulation. Once you understand, once you recognize, once you refuse to accept ignorance as your reality, you are no longer a victim. You are awake. And when you are awake, injustice loses its grip because it can't survive in the presence of truth. The second thing you need to understand is that comfort is the enemy of change. Most people think comfort is the goal. They chase it like it's the ultimate prize in life. A stable job, a steady paycheck, a routine they don't question. They convince themselves that if they just stay in their little bubble, nothing bad will happen. But here's the harsh truth. The world doesn't reward comfort. The world rewards action. The world rewards people who are willing to step out of their safety zone and face what others refuse to face. Comfort is seductive because it feels safe, but it is slowly killing you. Every day you cling to comfort, you're telling the universe that you're okay being small, mediocre, and controlled. Think about it. Look at anyone who has ever achieved something extraordinary. Do you think they stayed comfortable? Do you think they waited for life to hand them success on a silver platter? No. They embraced risk. They endured discomfort. They stared fear in the face and moved forward anyway. Comfort is passive. Change is aggressive. Change is aggressive. And if you want to break free from injustice, if you want to see through manipulation, challenge the system, and take power, you can't afford to be comfortable. The moment you start craving ease, the moment you start avoiding effort, you give control to everyone else. Comfort makes you lazy. It numbs your instincts. When life throws challenges, you freeze. You make excuses. You look for shortcuts instead of solutions. And the system knows this. That's why so many injustices go unchecked. People sit quietly in their comfort zones while others make the rules, profit from them, and shape the world. Change does not come to those who wait. Change comes to those who are willing to feel the sting of discomfort, who are willing to take risks, who are willing to make decisions that terrify everyone around them. That is how power is built. That is how influence is claimed. That is how injustice is confronted and dismantled. Let me be brutally honest. If you want to wake up from ignorance, if you want to educate yourself, if you want to fight injustice, comfort will be your greatest enemy. The comfortable mind refuses to see the truth because the truth is uncomfortable. Sure is uncomfortable. The comfortable mind excuses itself from responsibility because responsibility is hard. The comfortable mind settles for mediocrity because excellence is demanding. Comfort is the trap. It is the chain. It is the chain that keeps people compliant. It is the soft cage that feels safe until one day you wake up and realize you've wasted your life and nothing has changed. You have to train yourself to be uncomfortable on purpose. Seek challenges, push limits, face situations that scare you, learn new skills, speak uncomfortable truths. Speak uncomfortable truths. Take risks that others avoid. Discomfort is not punishment. It is growth. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you challenge what is easy and convenient, you expand your capacity, your vision, and your power. The more you embrace discomfort, the less the world can control you. You begin to see clearly. You begin to act decisively. You begin to live on your terms. Most people will never understand this. They will look at you and think you're reckless or arrogant or foolish because they are too afraid to step outside their safe little bubble. They will envy your courage but never imitate it. That is the world we live in. Safe mediocrity is celebrated and bold action is feared. But you don't need validation from the complacent, and you need action, courage, and resilience. Comfort is a poison disguised as safety. Once you taste the thrill of challenge, once you see what you are capable of, comfort will no longer control you. You will never settle for less. Here's the point. Injustice is allowed to persist because most people choose comfort over confrontation. They tolerate inequality because it's easier than standing up. They accept lies because it's easier than questioning. They watch others suffer because it's easier than acting. Comfort breeds passivity, and passivity sustains the system that thrives on injustice. If you want to change anything, if you want to see the world differently, you have to embrace discomfort. You have to become someone who seeks challenges, someone who refuses easy answers, someone who thrives in the face of difficulty. When you start living in this way, life stops being predictable. It stops being safe. But it also becomes infinitely more powerful. You gain clarity, strength, and insight that the comfortable will never understand. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You start taking action where others make excuses. You start influencing the world where others are influenced by it. Change, growth, and justice are never found in comfort. They are found on the edge in struggle, in deliberate action, in the refusal to settle for what is easy. So if you want to wake up, if you want to fight, if you want to see the world clearly and stand against injustice, remember this. Comfort is the enemy. Seek challenge. Embrace risk. Push yourself further than you think you can go. Let discomfort guide you, teach you, and shape you. Only then will you be truly alive, truly free, and truly unstoppable. The third thing you need to understand is that truth is unpopular, but it is essential. Most people avoid it because the truth is uncomfortable. It challenges beliefs, it exposes lies, and it forces people to face realities they would rather ignore. That's why the majority of society chooses convenience over honesty. They want sugar-coated stories, half-truths, and comforting illusions. They'd rather be comfortable, uninformed, and numb than face the harsh reality of the world. But let me tell you something. Avoiding truth doesn't protect you. It traps you. It chains you to a life of mediocrity, manipulation. Injustice thrives in the shadow of lies, and lies thrive because most people are too afraid to confront them. Think about it. How many people do you know who tell themselves that everything is fine, that the system works for them, that life is fair? How many people believe headlines, opinions, or trends without questioning their source or motive? They are living in a bubble of convenience, surrounded by echoes of confirmation, telling themselves that ignorance is safety. But truth doesn't work that way. Truth exists whether you accept it or not. It's objective. It doesn't care about feelings, comfort, or popularity. And if you want to survive, thrive, or fight against injustice, you need to see the world as it really is, not as people want you to see it. Here's the thing about truth. It makes people uncomfortable because it strips away illusions. It exposes lies that people have built their lives around. It forces accountability. And that is why most people reject it. They avoid facts because facts require action. They ignore evidence because evidence demands responsibility. But here's the secret. Being unpopular doesn't mean you're wrong. Being uncomfortable doesn't mean you're failing. In fact, the opposite is true. If truth makes people uncomfortable, it means you are looking clearly, thinking independently, and refusing to bow to manipulation. The system is designed to reward those who ignore reality and punish those who confront it. Institutions, corporations, governments, and media thrive on passive compliance. They benefit when people accept lies, when people fear challenging authority, when people are distracted by entertainment, gossip, or convenience. But truth is the weapon of those who refuse to be controlled. Buddy. Once you commit to truth, you gain clarity. You see the patterns. You understand the motives. You stop being manipulated. That is the power that comes from embracing truth. It is the foundation for every strategy, every plan, and every victory against injustice. Let me break it down. Embracing truth is not about being cynical, bitter, or hostile. It's about clarity and courage. It's about seeing life as it is, not as people pretend it is. It's as people pretend it is. It's about refusing to settle for lies because they are easier, safer, or more socially acceptable. Every time you confront a hard truth, every time you acknowledge reality without sugarcoating it, you strengthen yourself. You take power away from deception, manipulation, and injustice. And you set an example for others. People may resist, but they will notice. Truth has a way of cutting through noise, exposing weaknesses, and changing systems when people refuse to hide behind illusions. Most people will never face truth. They will surround themselves with comfort, validation, and approval. They will avoid confrontation, dodge responsibility, and settle for mediocrity. But you don't need to be like them. You don't need to follow the herd. You need to embrace truth even when it's inconvenient, even when it makes you unpopular, even when it feels isolating. The more you accept it, the more you empower yourself. The more you act on it, the more unstoppable you become. Truth is not just knowledge. It is strategy, freedom, and survival. Here's the reality you must face. Injustice continues because truth is rare. Lies are easy, ignorance is convenient, and the comfortable remain compliant. The moment people start speaking truths, asking questions, and refusing to accept deception, the system shifts. Injustice loses its grip because it cannot survive in the light of awareness. And that is why truth is essential. Without it, you are blind. With it, you are armed. Without it, you are passive. With it, you are dangerous. Without it, injustice thrives. With it, you can fight, survive, and unconquer. So if you want to wake up, if you want to fight clearly and act decisively, you must embrace truth. You must seek it relentlessly. You must speak it boldly, and you must live it, even when the world resists. Being unpopular is a small price to pay for clarity, freedom, and power. Comfort, popularity, and convenience will never give you what truth can. Vision, control, and the ability to fight injustice on your terms. Remember this, truth is not easy, but it is essential. Truth may isolate you, challenge you, and make life uncomfortable. But truth also frees you. It empowers you. It arms you with the knowledge and perspective that the world cannot take away. Those who embrace truth are the ones who shape the world, challenge injustice, and refuse to be manipulated. Those who run from it remain powerless, trapped, and blind. The choice is yours. Will you seek truth, or will you settle for lies? Will you wake up, or remain asleep? Fourth and final thing you need to understand is that inaction is complicity. Most people like to pretend that silence is neutral, that ignoring problems somehow makes them invisible. But let me tell you something. Silence is consent. Doing nothing in the face of injustice doesn't protect you. It empowers the people who benefit from it. Every time you turn away, every time you stay quiet, every time you tell yourself someone else will handle it, you are part of the problem. And you are part of the problem. Injustice grows in shadows, and the only reason it survives is because too many people refuse to act. The world is not fair, it is not kind, and it doesn't reward passivity. If you want to survive, if you want to thrive, if you want to change anything, you cannot afford to do nothing. Think about it. How many times have you seen something wrong and said, "It's not my problem"? How many times have you watched someone being taken advantage of, lied to, or treated unfairly, and just looked away because it was easier? That is complicity. That is how systems remain powerful, how injustices persist, and how the powerless stay powerless. Action is the antidote. Action is the weapon. Action is the only way to fight back when the odds are stacked against you. And the truth is, you don't have to be a superhero, a billionaire, or a genius to make a difference. You just need to refuse to be passive. You just need to refuse to accept what is wrong. Speaking up, questioning authority, calling out lies, refusing to follow the herd. These are all acts of rebellion against the status quo. And yes, they are uncomfortable. Yes, they may be unpopular. Yes, they may make people angry at you. But the people who change the world, who fight injustice, who survive and thrive, they are never popular, comfortable, or convenient. They are relentless, focused, and willing to act when others freeze. Inaction, on the other hand, is safety, but safe is exactly what injustice wants. Here's the hard truth. People who do nothing are the reason injustice exists. Complacency feeds it. Apathy fuels it. Waiting for someone else to act is exactly what the powerful count on. If you want to stand against injustice, you cannot wait for permission. You cannot wait for validation. You cannot wait for someone else to make the first move. You have to be willing to act decisively, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when everyone else is silent. The moment you act, the moment you refuse to comply with passivity, you shift the balance. You change the game. Let me be clear. Action doesn't mean violence, chaos, or chaos for the sake of it. Action means responsibility, courage, and initiative. It means using your skills, your voice, your influence, and your presence to confront what is wrong. It means refusing to normalize injustice just because it's easier than fighting it. Every time you speak the truth, every time you educate yourself, every time you refuse to accept lies, you are taking action. Every time you inspire others to think, to question, to act, you are taking action. Inaction, by contrast, achieves nothing except perpetuating the problem. Most people will never realize this. They will live their lives pretending that neutrality exists, that silence is safe, that inaction is harmless. But reality doesn't care about perception. Reality doesn't care about excuses. Phooey. Every second of inaction strengthens those who exploit, manipulate, and oppress. Every second of passivity allows injustice to thrive. And one day, when it's too late, they will realize the cost of their silence. But by then, the consequences will already have hit. You cannot afford to wait. You cannot afford to be passive. You cannot afford to pretend that doing nothing is acceptable. The choice is stark. Act or be complicit. There is no middle ground. If you want to confront injustice, if you want to wake up from the lies, if you want to take control of your life, you must act. You must speak. You must challenge. You must resist. Every small step counts. Every voice counts. Every refusal to accept what is wrong matters. Inaction is easy, but easy never changes anything. Action is hard, but hard is where power, freedom, and justice are born. Freedom and justice are born. So here's the final truth. If you remain silent, you are participating in the system that keeps injustice alive. If you do nothing, you are part of the problem. But if you choose to act, to question, to educate yourself, and to refuse passivity, you are part of the solution. The world is waiting for people who refuse to settle, who refuse to comply, who refuse to ignore reality. Be that person. Speak. Fight. Challenge. Refuse. Because every time you do, injustice loses. Every time you act, you gain power. Every time you refuse to be passive, you take one step closer to freedom, clarity, and victory. Remember this: inaction is complicity. Action is survival. Silence is consent. Courage is power. Hi. So here's the reality you need to face. The world is not fair and injustice is everywhere. It doesn't wait for permission, it doesn't ask politely, and it doesn't care if you're comfortable. But here's the good news. You are not powerless. Knowledge, courage, truth, and action are weapons, and they are available to anyone willing to take them. Ignorance is a trap. Educate yourself. Comfort is a cage. Embrace discomfort. Lies are everywhere. Seek the truth. Silence is complicity. Act relentlessly. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fearless every single moment. But you do have to refuse to settle, refuse to comply with passivity, and refuse to let the world manipulate you. Every choice you make, every action you take, every truth you speak chips away at the injustice around you. Life rewards the bold, the aware, the relentless. And if you want to survive, thrive, and leave your mark, you cannot wait for someone else. You cannot sit quietly. You cannot pretend ignorance is safety. The choice is yours. Remain asleep, comfortable, passive, and blind, or wake up, challenge, act, and take control. The people who change the world are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who move, the ones who see, the ones who refuse to accept what is wrong. They are the ones who understand that knowledge is power, discomfort is growth, truth is strength, and action is survival. So I ask you, what will you choose? Will you be a spectator, watching injustice unfold while it thrives? Or will you rise, educate yourself, challenge the lies, embrace discomfort, and act decisively? The world doesn't owe you fairness, but it does respond to courage, clarity, and relentless action. Be that person. Wake up, see clearly, speak boldly, act relentlessly. Because every time you refuse to stay silent, every time you refuse to settle, every time you choose truth over comfort, you are not just surviving, you are winning. That is how injustice